Salesforce stands for Customer Relationship Management, and it really allows you to track and understand the efforts in your day-to-day lives, just data points that you're collecting, like spreadsheet data as you see it today, but also to-do list items and understanding activities that need to happen for your day-to-day efforts on both the contract training and the open enrollment side of the house. So we're working through today, this is a demo environment. So one of the things to consider as we're looking through it, these are all just examples of ways the system can be built, but Salesforce is a platform. What that means is we can build it out based on your need, based on your specifications and your requirements. So as we're looking through things, especially on the home screen here of things like dashboards and reporting, understand these are examples of things that can be built, but this isn't the full extent of what's possible. That comes through additional conversation and discovery, so we can really realize the value that you need coming out of Salesforce. So with that being said, we're inside of the environment here. We're inside of our CECT app. And the first thing we're seeing is the home screen. On any home screen, any Salesforce environment or app, you're going to have a home screen. The concept of the home screen is to give you insight into what is happening in the day-to-day lives of your users and your reps as you're working through Salesforce and through your contracts and open enrollment opportunities. So on our dashboard here on the left side of the screen, we can see a lot of analytics that are coming through the data, and these analytics are configurable, customizable for you. So just to scroll through some of these data points, we'll come back around to this later in the demo, but we have things like, what is the revenue summary by rep? What are the stages of our opportunities and how many dollars are in these opportunities? Looks like there's a question on full screen. Let me zoom in here. Is everyone able to see this, or is it coming through kind of small on the Zoom?
Jake, if you wouldn't mind just hitting the...
Yeah, let's push that up a bit. Is that better?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so as I'm going through these dashboards, understand, of course, like I said, all of this is customizable for you and your data. And all of these data points are going to start to make more sense as we're scrolling through and we're looking through our contract training and our open enrollment records inside of the environment, but just to give you a feel for some of the things that are available. Now, one of the things to note is these numbers aren't being crunched, right? I'm not having to enter in, say, $5.6 thousand for CT net revenue. Salesforce is calculating that for me, and it's available on the fly. So you could see that this was last updated. This is the system set in Pacific time. So 30 minutes ago was last time these dashboards and analytics were pulled. If I click that refresh button, Salesforce is going to spin all of that data up for me again so that you can get real-time analytics. Previously, especially if you're using Excel, these types of analytics are things you do at quarter end or year end, right? And you're pulling all of this together to try to put together a dashboard that you can share out to your stakeholders. Salesforce can pull this together for you on the fly whenever you'd like from both a supervisor and a day-to-day perspective. On the right side of the screen, we're seeing today's tasks. So like I mentioned, Salesforce is not just a way to be able to store data, but it's a way to store your to-do list items and to understand, what do I have to do today? So one of the items that I have here is to send a contract over to Nancy Cooper for our CNC machining contract training opportunity. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is click into that CNC machining intro. That's going to open up my contract training record. Now, this record has a lot of information sitting on it. I'm zoomed in, that's why it's a little bit cramped on the screen, but it has a lot of information on it that's allowing us to put together a full picture of our contract training opportunity for the Cooper Machining account. So as I'm walking through the page here on the left side, you can have some key highlights of what's going on, right? So I can see that this CNC machining contract training opportunity is for Cooper Machining. And I'm expecting this to close on 8/3/2021, and our total expenses are $1,125. This is a calculated value, so Salesforce is able to understand what is the cost for us, and then as I scroll through the details section, you'll be able to understand more metrics around what is the potential revenue, what is our net income, and other metrics around things like our margins. As I'm scrolling through, I have our products. Our products inside of Salesforce and inside of this CECT app allow us to enter in the different points that are adding up to our cost, right? So I can come in, I can say that I have a quantity of 10 for my instruction time. This would be 10 hours of instruction time. I can say I have 25 units of materials and books at $25 a unit. These are the pieces that are adding up to give us our cost. So it takes the guesswork out of what is the cost behind the contract training. It allows you to standardize and better understand, what are the costs that all of our reps are putting in to the contract training opportunity. And it takes you out of spreadsheets. I know from previous experience, there's a lot of kind of templated spreadsheets that you plug in a couple numbers and kind of hope for the best, right? But with Salesforce, we're able to standardize these products, allow for the user to very easily add them to the contract training record, and then allow Salesforce to run the numbers for you to let you understand what kinds of profits should you come to expect from the contract training opportunity here. Under that, we have the file. We'll talk about contract generation here in a couple minutes, but through Salesforce, we can generate our contract using third-party products. What this means is we can have the contract generated using Salesforce data. So you don't have to go over, tab into Word, populate a bunch of data, print it out and send it, like I know a lot of you are probably doing today. Inside Salesforce, you can click a button and Salesforce will generate that contract for you. There's also signature or e-signature components that can be added on to that document. So you can send it out to your contractee and they can sign it and send it back. And like Matt said earlier on, you can turn that wait time of a contract from 7 to 10 days down to just a matter of minutes using the tools that Salesforce allows. In our middle section here, first thing you can see is our path. Our path allows you to better understand the life cycle. So it's not just to see what opportunities have closed, but also where are we at in our pipeline. As I go back to the dashboard and in a few minutes on the home screen, we'll be able to better understand our pipeline, understand where are we at with different opportunities. Are we just in initial conversations and qualification, or are we in contract negotiation trying to figure out that cost before moving it into close one? Underneath that path, we have all of the details that we're collecting about this contract training record. This, of course, is customizable. This is just an example off our industry experience of what we've seen so far, but we can collect really whatever data points you require so that we are gathering as much information as we need to be able to process these contract training records. As I scroll through and just kind of point some of these pieces out, we can understand things like what is the name of the account or company we're working with? Who's our main point of contact? So we could see for Cooper Machining, our main point of contact is Nancy Cooper. We can understand when the opportunity was first generated. So how long we've been in conversations. When should we come to expect this opportunity to close? Then training details themselves. So who is the instructor for our training sessions? So I'm able to track and see that Paul Owens is our instructor. We should expect 12 attendees, and that's going to be happening on August 18th. Underneath our training details, we can gather financial data. So we can understand things like what are the expenses for this opportunity? What is our target margin? What is our actual margin? And what is the actual contract cost? So I could see the cost to the client will be $1,462.50. That's not guesswork, right? We're taking the products on the left side, we're calculating a margin, and we're going to go ahead and put in that contract price. Now, if I edited the margin, our total contract will change for us automatically so we can better understand, what margins are we actually getting back from these contract training opportunities. Again, giving us a better effort towards standardization, not just for the individual rep, but all of the institution as we are processing these contract training contracts. On the right side, before I generate our document, on the right side, we have our activities. So I mentioned a couple of times now, but Salesforce allows you to track activities. They allow you to track to-do list items. So we saw the activity on the home screen, but I can come into my subject line and I could say something like send contract, and I can make a due date for myself. That could be something like today, or maybe I want to wait until Monday because of a conversation I had with the client. So I'm going to set my Monday due date. I can add in my contact who I need to send to. So I'm going to go ahead and add Nancy Cooper because she is the point person for our account. And then I'm going to set that to our opportunity by default. Next comes the assigned to. This is the internal user, right? So this is who should be doing this task or this item. By default, it's going to assign it to your logged in user. So right now I'm logged in as Leslie Buens, but if I wanted to assign it to somebody else, I can easily check the X, and then I can add to whomever I need to inside my organization. So if you have a dedicated contract person and their role is to send out the contracts, once I know that this opportunity is going to close, I can come into the opportunity, create a new task, assign it to that contract person. And now the contract person has no guesswork behind what contracts do I need to send out. They'll have a to-do list of here are all the contracts that I have to get out the door this week. So I'm going to go ahead and save that task. And you'll see when I click save, it gets populated down below in my activity history. Now I am zoomed in so you all can see the details here, but when I zoom back out, you'll see it expands out so you can see a little bit more of that text and what it looks like. Zoom back in. Okay. Next, up in the top left corner, I talked about these detail points. We talked about contract generation, but how do I actually go about doing that? So if I click on my action window, I could see merge document. When I click merge document, that's going to be opening up a third-party product that is native to Salesforce and allows you to generate your contract. So I could see there's my contract generation. When I click merge now, it's going to go ahead and generate my document. It's going to put it into my opportunity automatically, and you'll actually also see it download to my computer here. What this is doing is pulling in data from the opportunity and pushing it directly into the document. So here's that document I just generated. When I click the preview, I can see it inside of Salesforce. So I can see I'm pulling in data around who is the rep, who is the client, what's the class going to be called, what is the description of the class, the date of the class, that cost, here's that $1,462.50, and whatever other terms we need. Now this is a template, but we can use whatever template you would like. This is just a demo example of one that we can put together. Of course, you all have your own templates, you all have your own contracts and what you like to send and your verbiage that can absolutely be entered into Salesforce and actually edited through a Microsoft Word online inside of the environment. So I don't have to go to some third-party site to try to set up my template. All that happens inside of Salesforce automatically. Okay, so next, that's the contract training side of the house. Again, just an example of what you can do through conversation. We would figure out all of the details that you need, all of the nuance and automations and formulas that you run for your financials. The next side is the open enrollment. So I'm going to go ahead and click into the open enrollment tab up at the top of the screen, and I can see a recently viewed list. What this allows me to do as a user is understand what coursework do I have within open enrollment inside of Salesforce, and I can click in and I can better understand what do I have going on lately. So for our example, I'm going to be using this leadership training. So I'm going to go ahead and click into leadership training, and you can tell that it's a bit of a different view. So we've gone from the contract training side of the house. Now we are in that open enrollment side of the house. And just to go through and understand what is on the records here for open enrollment. So first up top, I can see my course. So Salesforce through EDA, or Education Data Architecture, allows you to understand what coursework do you have out there? How are those courses related? How many specific offerings of those courses do we have? The record we're looking at is one offering of this demo leadership training course that is offered by the institution. I can see the start date. So I can see this course is starting in 2 days, and John Riley is our primary teacher. I can also see we have a capacity of 15 students. Now this capacity is going to be really important because inside Salesforce, we can do various formulas that'll give us a better feel for what number of participants do we need to hit in order to break even and in order to make money. And of course, at the end of the day, calculate our net income for that course. As I scroll down, we have a detail section, just like the contract training, where we can better understand the information that we're storing about this open enrollment opportunity. So we can see that Leslie Buens is our owner. We can see the name of our open enrollment opportunity, of course, is that leadership training. Underneath that, we have data points about our class size. So we can see capacity, meaning how many seats should we have open? And at any point I can come in here and I can bump this up. Maybe this course is getting a lot of enrollment and I want to be able to add additional seats. I can come in, I can click this pencil and edit this, and I can go from 15 to 20 to 30 to 50 if we get a bigger room, right? This allows you to better understand your output of that course. Next, we have our class cohort size. This is how many people have actually registered, right? We have those registrants over on the right side. I'll click into that list in just a few minutes. And under that, we have our break-even point. So this allows us to understand how many people do we need to sign up for this course to be able to make money on the course. So we could see 7.5 as our break-even point. So we know that we need to have 8 people enroll to start making an income for the course. And if we have 7 or less, then it's a net loss for the open enrollment opportunity. Over on the right side, just some basic information about the course. So we have our external ID. This is related to external systems. Now, there are many ways that your course connections can get into this environment. In this demo, we're just looking at the end result, but you can use your current systems. You can use what's called Salesforce Communities or Experiences, which is basically a portal tool that would allow you to take registrations directly to Salesforce. You can use forms on your website. This external ID would just allow you to understand and have a unique identifier between that external system and what you're bringing into Salesforce. We can track our term, which allows us to understand all of the courses based on the time of year, right? So what are all the course offerings that were offered in fall of 21, what was offered in spring of this year, what was offered in fall of 3 years ago, right? This gives you a quick way to click into a term and understand what did we offer then, and that allows you to give kind of year-over-year tracking very easily. As I continue to scroll down, the open enrollment has financials as well, very similar to the contract training, but of course, you're calculating different values. So what we're understanding here within the open enrollment is our cost per student. So right off the bat, how much do we want to charge, right? So we're going to charge, in this case, $250 for our leadership training. We can understand based on our registrants, which are these course connections over on our right side here. There's the name, the title. We have $3,250 in registrations that have come through so far. We can understand what is our total course cost, and then of course calculate what is our net revenue, right? To understand, are we making money on the course? If not, do we need to bump up the number of seats that we're offering, or do we need to do more marketing around this if we're still a couple weeks out? This gives you a really good insight to understand, are we meeting our goals? Is there a purpose behind certain courses that we're offering, or should we look at kind of consolidating our schedule? All of these points, I know I mentioned a few times already throughout the presentation here today. These points are all configurable, right? So if there's a field on here that you feel like, well, we don't really capture that, we absolutely can take it off the page. None of this is required for you and your use case. Underneath that, we have our marketing. So marketing allows you to keep track of promo codes, right? So maybe I'm offering a promo code early, right? If I do early registration from 6/1 to 7/31, I'm gonna take $50 off of that registration. Now, of course, this is dependent on where the registrations are coming in from, right? I already mentioned Experience Cloud within Salesforce, which is that portal tool from Salesforce. Or if you're using an external third party and they allow for promo codes, this allows you to keep track of that promo code inside Salesforce. So you're keeping both systems kind of talking and communicating with one another. And at the bottom of the screen here, we have our cancel class. So cancellation of the class allows you to understand not only what courses were we offering that we didn't go through with, but also what revenue may we have lost because we didn't follow through with the course, or maybe we didn't get enough people registered. How is that affecting or impacting our overall revenue for this year, for this term, for the last 5 years, whatever kind of metric you'd be looking to capture there. Up on the right side, like I said, I've mentioned a couple times now, the course connections. If I click into the view all button here, this allows me to see all of those course connections, all of the people that have signed up for this course offering or this open enrollment opportunity. On my course connection, I can understand a couple of things. First, who's the instructor, right? So I can see that John Riley is the instructor. John works for Servio College. Under that, I can see, I believe there's 13 registrants. I can see all 13 registrants, what their names are, what their role is, and I can also see their status. So this gives you an ability to mark someone as withdrawn, right? Maybe Stephen Gray signs up for the open enrollment, the leadership training, and then Stephen decides later on that he's going to go ahead and withdraw. This allows you to understand that Stephen did sign up, but he ended up withdrawing later on. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click back into my open enrollment, my leadership training, and just another quick pass of kind of what this open enrollment represents. So it allows you to track the open enrollment opportunities that you have as the institution, allows you to track the data points around the financials and understanding your dollars around those open enrollment sessions, and better understanding all of the students that you have within the sessions, to also be able to track things like what courses are resonating with what students have maybe taken courses in a series. If you have a 100, a 200, a 300 level course, you're better able to understand that because we're not just having a name on a spreadsheet. We're connecting the dots between open enrollment opportunities and actual students, and in this case, like John Riley here, the instructor. Okay, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the home screen. I'm going to walk through more in depth of that dashboard we looked at, now that we are understanding better what this contract training and open enrollment opportunities represent. So I'm going to go ahead and click back to my home screen. And I'm going to go ahead and click open. That's going to expand my dashboard into a more complete view here. So we have a little bit more real estate to work with. So now that we've walked through the financials, all of these data points should start to make more sense. So we could see things like customized training or contract training revenue summary by rep. So I can understand that cost to the client by my reps, who is bringing the most dollars this month, right? I'm able to better understand that through these CT revenue summary by rep. As I continue to scroll down, we can get reports like course cancellation summary. So as we're looking at that open enrollment, I mentioned the cancellation of the course and understanding what revenue may have been lost. So if I click into my view report here, excuse me, I can see that we've had 4 open enrollment sessions get canceled. I can track the reason for the cancellation. So basket weaving had low enrollment. DVR programming, all 3 of these sessions had instructors that were unavailable. So we were unable to staff the open enrollment opportunity. And then we could see what was the actual class cohort size and what was the capacity that we offered. So I could see, especially for low enrollment here, we've offered 20 seats. We only got 2 that signed up. So we went ahead and canceled that course. On my net revenue, we could see that we made a good call canceling this one because that would have lost us almost $2,000. On our instructor unavailable, we lost $6,000 because we couldn't staff those opportunities. This allows you to get better insight as far as, what is happening globally with all of our open enrollment opportunities. Do we need to up our staffing network if we have a lot of dollars coming out of our instructor unavailable open enrollments? Or for those that are low enrollment, maybe they're continuously becoming low enrollment cancellations. So maybe we should take a look and see if basket weaving, if we should stop offering it, right? These are metrics that you can very easily see via the dashboard. Now, I already mentioned that these are available on demand. So I can come into this report at any point inside Salesforce, and all these values that are up top here, like total net revenue, this will update every time I click into that report. Another point here is if you wanted to send this to someone that's not in Salesforce, maybe you want to send this to a stakeholder or a board that are curious about how you all are doing and did you make the right call by canceling certain course offerings. I can click into my action menu here and I can simply click export. Export is going to allow me to dump this data out via both formatted or details only. Formatted gives you the groupings, right? So that'll maintain my low enrollment and my instructor unavailable groupings. Details only is going to give me raw data. The details only is really beneficial if you're trying to do, complex formulas within Excel. But for the most part, if you're trying to send to somebody else, you're going to send it as a formatted report. You also have the ability to subscribe. So subscribing gives you the functionality to be able to receive this report automatically. So you don't have to go digging for it, right? You don't have to go in, run a new report every time you want to see these metrics. Maybe I want to start and end my week by receiving this course cancellation report. I can set up my subscription for Monday and Friday at 5 o'clock, and then I can go ahead and click save. By clicking save, I'm going to receive every Monday and Friday at 5 o'clock this report that's going to tell me what courses have been canceled directly in your email, the email that's tied to your Salesforce username. And you don't have to go searching for it. You can also get report charts like we saw on the dashboard sent to you via email. At this point, I'm going to go back to the home screen and I'm going to click into one more report. And then I'm actually going to show you how these are edited. So reporting and analytics is often a pretty intimidating topic within, not just Salesforce, but really any tool. People hear analytics and they say, oh, that's great. But how do I actually build it, right? Do I have to run SQL statements? Do I have to understand programming, right? Do I have to be super technical? The answer is no within Salesforce. So if I click into my CT revenue summary by rep, I go and click into that report. This will bring up a screen very similar to the one we were just on for the course cancellations. Let's give it a moment here to load. I'm going to go ahead and click edit. When I click edit, it's going to open up the backend or the setup screen for this report. And you can see that I'm not running any SQL statements. Now, Salesforce has its own SQL language. It calls it SQL. You can run SQL statements if you have someone that is very familiar with those languages and they're more comfortable with it. But you can also use the end user or admin type tools. So I have my outline and my filters, and I'm able to group by my opportunity owner. That would be the rep that's working these contract training opportunities. I can define my columns, which basically tells me what data is getting pulled through to this report, and I can add and take away as needed. For example, if I don't really care about my created date on this report, can simply click on the little action, scroll down and remove column. And now that column is no longer on my report, right? So it's really easy to come in and change and modify as needed to get your desired result. Filters, just your way of being able to say what data points should return, right? What should I be seeing here as I'm clicking through for my report to make sure you're pulling the right data. This is especially useful for things like timeframes, right? If I want to understand how many opportunities are closing this month, then I'm going to go ahead and write a close date. I'm going to change my current fiscal year here, or fiscal quarter, excuse me. And I can scroll down, I can put a literal value in here, and I can say something like this month. I'm going to go ahead and click apply. It's going to change my report pretty drastically, right? And now I can see that Leslie Buens is kind of middle of the pack for dollars on opportunities. Now I can go ahead and click save and run, and it's going to change my report. So now instead of doing fiscal quarter, now I'm doing this month. And it's just a matter of a couple clicks, right? Now I'm walking through this with you all, but you can imagine as you are working through it, if you wanted to make a change, that would just be a matter of seconds, clicking into report and making that update. But what happens if I want to take this report and I want to clone it? I want to make a new version of that report. Because as we know, especially with revenue, maybe I want this same report for this year, this quarter, this month, this week, right? Well, you don't have to recreate it 4 times from scratch. You can just click into your action, click save as, it's going to pull that entire report over. And then I can go ahead and change my title. And let's change this to, lost the beginning there. C2 revenue summary. Let's go this year. I'm going to click save. When I do that, it's going to generate the exact same report I just had. So then all I have to do is go in and change my filters, and we have a new report that I can either drop onto the dashboard, click that export, or subscribe to, all depending on what you're looking to get out of the reporting. Now, I mentioned this at the very top of the demo, but all of these reports are possible within the solution that we talked about here today, above and beyond this as well, right? We can bring in new analytics, different analytics. Generally, what we like to say is if it's a data point inside Salesforce, we can run a report on it. So it's not limited to what you're seeing here. All right. So that covers everything with the dashboarding, the reporting, the contract training, and the open enrollment within Salesforce here with our demo. Like I just mentioned, this is a demo environment. So if you do have questions around, how can we change this? How can we make this meet our requirements better? We are absolutely open to all of those conversations. Salesforce is a platform that allows for a heavy degree of customization and configuration to meet your need.